It's important to protect your corn against disease because there are a couple of diseases that we see year after year that can have quite some impact on your yield. And gray leaf spot probably being the most common one in most of the states across the American Midwest. Northern cornleaf blight is another one that overwinters in the stalk residues. You know that if you're at risk for disease, if you monitor the environment. Because most diseases, particularly two of them, gray leaf spot and northern cornleaf blight, actually overwinter in the stalk residues. You really have to monitor the conditions for those. Gray leaf spot likes hotter weather. All fungal diseases thrive on moisture, so that's what they have in common. Northern cornleaf blight, and that's why the name, right? It's more prevalent in the north because it actually likes a little bit cooler temperatures. Scouting is obviously always an option, but scouting has one big risk that often if you start seeing the symptoms of the disease in your field, you're already basically in a defensive mode. The disease has already started to affect your corn, and fungicides never repair the damage done. So waiting until you really see a significant amount of disease on your leaves is actually a dangerous strategy. So you may want to listen a little bit of what's happening in your county, stay in touch with your local ag media and figure out if that is about to become a bigger problem. One last thing I would like to mention is know your genetics, because hybrids have different susceptibilities to diseases. And there's also usually not such a thing like as an extra strong disease tolerance. Typically they're strong on one, not so strong on another one. So if you know that your hybrid is more susceptible to a specific disease, like northern cornleaf blight, then you know what are the conditions under which a northern cornleaf blight infection is more likely, and then you can prevent yourself and your corn plant from being affected from that if you are proactive in spraying a foliar fungicide. We typically recommend planning fungicide applications and start discussing that plan with your agronomist, with your retailer early on, actually at the time that you choose the hybrid. So what is good about planning that approach or being proactive about applying fungicides is that you make sure that you'll always be at the front end of disease development. And that makes usually the big difference between growers who have very good experiences with fungicides, because they're typically the ones that started planning for it, already lining up their application on time so you don't scramble. Once disease hits your geography, everybody's scrambling for spraying. So timing is so absolutely critical when it comes to tassel applications. Delaro has several advantages at the tassel timing, and honestly we've seen quite a big difference now that we've seen Delaro in so many trials in 2017. I believe the key reason is the way that we built Delaro, and the concentration of the actives in that formulation really gives us a better performance on controlling diseases. That's the first thing, and particularly on gray leaf spot, it's a whole new level of control that we offer to the market now. We know that it's really strong on northern cornleaf blight. We've seen some very encouraging data actually coming out of Canada where they documented really nice how strong that product is on northern cornleaf blight. The second thing, maybe even more important, we talk about Delaro's best-in-class dual mode of action efficacy. So what is unique is that both active ingredients in Delaro do not only have a broad spectrum of diseases that they control, but they both offer you a residual efficacy. And that is particularly important because you get this higher level of disease control really because we have two modes of action that are effective on so many different types of diseases, and both modes of action stay there for the spray interval and work to control those diseases. And it's important because not all the disease disease events happen at the same time. And the third one is the plant health, and we've seen out of our grower trials quite a couple of encouraging examples on what a difference that is in the absence of disease, where growers really had a very positive experience with Delaro and some significant yield lifts just coming out of pure plant health, where the corn plants are much more tolerant to external stresses. And that is so important in this grain fill period, that the plant can focus on filling those ears with grain and producing yield, and the fungicide helps the plant to protect it from both diseases and other abiotic stresses like weather stresses and so on in that important critical period of time for corn.